You can find more from WPLN News, including the Nashvillager, your human-powered newsletter and podcast, exploring Nashville news and history. Subscribe to both at WPLN.org.
From Nashville Public Radio, I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. A year ago, Nashville voters approved an additional sales tax, half a penny on every dollar. It's money for sidewalks, bus routes, and traffic light upgrades. We get a progress report from Sabrina Sussman, the person overseeing the improvements. She'll take your questions. I know you've got them. Wondering if your commute is on the priority list? Got a traffic light giving you trouble? Seen a sidewalk to nowhere? Chime in on air. Plus, we'll close out the episode by giving you the mic to highlight your local events this week. After the news, this is Nashville.
Sharing news and stories from the voices of Middle Tennessee. That's This is Nashville. Our show is made possible by Music City Prep Clinic. This is Nashville is in service to you. So if you have an idea for the show or feedback you'd like us to hear, leave us a voice message at 615-751-2500.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Vice President J.D. Vance says the U.S. brokered Israel-Hamas ceasefire in Gaza is holding despite recent violence. NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben reports on Vance's remarks in Israel today.
Over the weekend, Israel announced it had launched new strikes on Gaza, accusing Hamas of breaching the ceasefire. Hamas denied any involvement. Acknowledging the new violence, Vance accused some in the news media of having a, quote, desire to root for failure.
There's this inclination to say, oh, this is the end of the ceasefire. This is the end of the peace plan. It's not the end. It is, in fact, exactly how this is going to have to happen when you have people who hate each other, who have been fighting against each other for a very long time.
Vance also said that if Hamas does not cooperate in the ceasefire process, they will be, quote, obliterated. Vance was joined by Middle East Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, both of whom helped negotiate the ceasefire. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News.
The federal government's been shut down for 21 days now. The head of the Farm Action Fund, Joe Maxwell, says farmers are feeling it.
We have been farming for the last several years, and but for government subsidies, government programs, we would have been in the negative. So we rely on government to keep us in the black.
Thousands of workers are not getting paid during the shutdown. As of yesterday, they included some 1,400 people at the agency that oversees the country's nuclear stockpile. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is siding with the administration's efforts to deploy the National Guard to Portland. Oregon Public Broadcasting's Conrad Wilson has more on yesterday's ruling.
The decision overturns one of two temporary restraining orders issued by a lower court judge blocking the federalization and deployment of the National Guard to Oregon. Jessica Levinson, a professor at Loyola Law School, says the majority of the appeals court found the president's authority shouldn't be questioned over concerns such as an inability to carry out federal law.
What a majority of the panel concluded is that the district court judge had essentially substituted her judgment for the president's judgment in an inappropriate way.
In a dissenting opinion, an appeals court judge warned the majority was eroding constitutional protections, such as the right to protest the government and state sovereignty. For NPR News, I'm Conrad Wilson in Portland.
People across the chess community are expressing shock online at reports that 29-year-old American chess grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky has died. The Charlotte Chess Center in North Carolina, where Naroditsky was a head coach, announced his death yesterday in a social media statement. In a final video posted to his YouTube channel on Friday, Naroditsky told viewers he was back better than ever.
I've been sort of taking kind of a creative break, deciding, future avenues of content.
Cause of death is still unknown. The former child prodigy born to Jewish immigrants from Ukraine and Azerbaijan is being remembered today as a highly respected teacher and live streamer. From Washington, this is NPR News. Japan has chosen its first female prime minister. Her ruling party faces an uphill struggle to retain power, and she has 1 week to prepare for a scheduled visit by President Trump. Here's NPR's Anthony Kuhn.
Japan's parliament voted 64-year-old Sanai Takaichi in as prime minister just weeks after the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP, chose her as its president. Her predecessor, Shigeru Ishiba, quit after the LDP suffered two big electoral defeats, reducing the LDP to a minority in both houses of parliament. The LDP's longtime political ally, Komeito, walked out of their coalition. The LDP signed a new coalition agreement with the opposition Japan Innovation Party. While Takaichi is a fan of former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and has broken Japan's glass ceiling, she takes a traditional view of gender roles. Even for the conservative LDP, Takaichi's selection is widely seen as a hard swerve to the right. Anthony Kuhn, NPR News, Seoul.
Former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is out with a new book that addresses questions about former President Biden's cognitive health during his troubled re-election run, Democratic disunity, and, as she describes it, how her party failed Black women. Jean-Pierre now identifies as an independent. She tells NPR's Morning Edition she did so to start a conversation about the direction of American politics. Her book is called Independent, A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside the Party Lines, published today. The Dow is up 270 points, or roughly 0.5%. The Nasdaq has lost 55 points, and the S&P is off slightly. This is NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance. Progressive is looking for dedicated and forward-thinking individuals to join their growing team. More information, including application, at progressive.com/careers.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, working to help donors make more possible through the power of community giving. More at cfmt.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Well, we've debated transit for a long time in this city. Some see a light rail system as the only way a true city does transit. Then there's the crowd arguing for dedicated lanes where buses could operate more like trains. Either way, it's all very expensive and requires more connectivity for people to really consider stepping out of their cars. Sidewalks, bike lanes, bus stops, that's what you need. Nearly a year ago, voters overwhelmingly passed a transit plan funded by a 0.5-cent sales tax increase in Davidson County. The plan was called Choose How You Move. Still is called that because it's not just one thing. In fact, the only thing it doesn't have at the moment is light rail. It's meant to improve the experience of riding the bus, of walking, biking, and driving, and the improvements are already underway. We have Nashville's, let's call her the transit czar. Is that comfortable, Sabrina Sussman?
I mean, I like it.
All right, why not? She was appointed by Mayor Freddie O'Connell to be the Chief Program Officer, a way less fun name, for Choose How You Move. And the mayor has sent her here in his stead for our monthly Ask the Mayor episode because, we already get so many transit commuter kinds of questions. So thank you so much for joining us on This Is Nashville.
Absolutely. So glad to be here.
And you, dear listener, can join us on the air with your questions for Sabrina at 615-760-2000. Don't worry, I'll repeat the number later. But we're also streaming video from the studio, as we usually do, at youtube.com/@WPLN. Very easy to drop a question or comment in the chat, and we'll try to work it into the conversation if we can. So you kind of break down the program, the Choose How You Move program, into 4 categories. Great alliteration here. Sidewalks, safety, signals, and service. So let's start with sidewalks. Where are we starting to see more curbs and concrete around Davidson County?
Yeah, so we're really excited. It's 86 miles total, which is a lot of sidewalks here in Davidson
That's over
County.
the 15-year plan?
That's over the 15-year plan, yeah. And so we've started to really think about prioritizing some of that work. Last Friday, we announced our first pretty big, hefty capital investment of $104 million. That includes starting some sidewalks.
So if anyone is thinking, well, I've seen that sidewalk project going on, it's probably not funded by this yet, if it's already concrete's going on the ground?
So we have definitely funded some work, but sidewalks using this money have not yet broken ground, but they will be doing that soon.
Yeah. My sister had a sidewalk put in front of her house, kind of in the McMurray area over off Nolensville Road, and I could not believe how long it took. I mean, there's just so much more to it than people imagine. Why is it so expensive to put in sidewalks?
Well, it depends on the sidewalk, right? No two sidewalks are created equal, but we have to spend a little time before planning, really looking at the infrastructure that you're going in with and the infrastructure that you're impacting. So, for example, what about water? What does putting a sidewalk in, what does that mean for stormwater management? What does it mean when there's a really heavy rain? Are you?
Because there's often like a ditch involved with the sidewalk, or there might be drainage that has to go underneath it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just a place to walk, right? It's a part of our infrastructure.
So you're relatively new to town, right?
Sure am.
I mean, did you move from D.C.?
I moved from 20 years in D.C., so big change.
What struck you about our sidewalk situation in Nashville?
Well, what I would tell you is there's a lot of room for putting in new ones. Not everywhere in Davidson County has a sidewalk.
Yeah.
As you sort of drive around or walk around, a thing you'll notice is that sometimes a sidewalk just stops.
What's the explanation for that? I mean, you all even joke at it. I saw an Instagram post that your office did in the last week or two that was promoting this project and the work that's going on, and some guy like stops because the sidewalk just suddenly ends. And it's very real. It happens everywhere. Is there an explanation for why that occurs?
I mean, the best explanation is funding takes time. And so you sort of scope a project to the extent of money that you have. And when the money runs out, sometimes the sidewalk runs out. But a thing that we're doing is really looking across all of our plans in Nashville and saying, we know where we need to put sidewalks. Now that we have the funding from Choose How You Move, we can go back in and fill in some of those gaps.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in, Sabrina Sussman is our guest, and we're talking all things related to the Choose How You Move program that was funded by this half-cent sales tax that we, as Davidson County residents, voted on nearly 1 year ago. If you want to join the conversation, the phone number is 615-760-2000. Right now we're talking sidewalks, but we've got many more S's to talk about safety, signals, and service in just a moment. Is there a way for people to advocate for their neighborhoods to get a sidewalk, or have you kind of already set up a plan for the next few years?
We've set up a plan. So part of Choose How You Move that was put on the referendum was saying, here's our project list. That list is online. You can go on and you can check out a map and see what in your neighborhood is being built. Maybe it's a sidewalk, maybe it's a new single, maybe you're 10 minutes away from a big all-access corridor where we're going to do a lot of work. But part of what we did with Choose How You Move is sort of say to the public, with this half penny, this is what you'll get. It's really important to sort of be transparent and make sure that folks have a say in where things are going. So we did that as part of the referendum, and now it's up to us to actually implement and build those things.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take to the phones while we're at it. That's sort of the whole point here. Patricia in Inglewood, did I just hang up on her? I think I may have. Behind the glass, is that what happened? Yeah, may have.
No.
Patricia, would you call back so I can get you on the air here? And I've got another question for Sabrina while we wait. But I wonder if you're finding any neighborhoods resisting. And I ask this because I know that the city of Belmead voted this year to ban sidewalks on Belmead Boulevard, like right in the middle. Although I don't know that there were concrete plans from the city of Belmead to do that. But are you finding that there are some neighborhoods that are like, I don't know that we want sidewalks, actually?
Well, look, one of the things that I really actually like about the way the Choose How You Move program was put together, 66% of voters said this is what we want. So even if maybe not everything in the program is your cup of tea or your favorite sidewalk, there's probably something that does impact you that you're excited about. I think a lot about traffic signals. It's one of the first things I noticed when I was first driving through Nashville as a visitor. We have a lot of work to do on traffic signals. And for almost every human, traffic signals have an impact on their day-to-day life. It doesn't matter if you're walking or you're biking or riding a bus or driving or being driven by someone. You're probably sitting behind a red light for a good portion of your commute or your trip around town. And so one of the things that I found is even if it's not everything in Choose How You Move that excites people, there's definitely something that's exciting them.
We'll get to the traffic signals because I find that fascinating. And in fact, I believe with this $100 million you all announced, it's kind of just slightly, but it's bigger than any other portion, I think, right? $35 million, something like that?
Yes, we have sort of investments that are similar in size, but signals top out.
Wow. Well, so what is the philosophy behind sidewalks and where they're put in? I mean, is it, I'm sure it depends, but is there an overarching idea about where you prioritize putting sidewalks?
So it depends is a good answer.
Oh, boy.
But what I'll tell you is that one of the other S's comes into play here,
Okay.
right? Safety. So one of the things that's guiding all of our investments, regardless of which category, is we take a look at what's called our high injury network. We know where in Nashville we are having the most number of crashes. And so what we do is sort of build out a bit of a map that says, here's the network that's contributing the most to our injuries, to our deaths.
Wait, when you say crashes, are you talking about pedestrian incidents?
When I say crashes, I mean all sorts of crashes, right? So we're looking at car and pedestrian, car and bike. But the network starts to tell us that the vast majority of our crashes, about 60%, are happening on just 6% of our roadways.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are those? I saw some hot spots from a map years ago that looked like maybe Nolensville Pike was sort of a hot spot.
It's interesting you say Nolensville Pike, because last week when we did this big announcement, one of the things we said is we're going to focus a lot of our all-access corridor work starting on Nolensville.
Yeah.
And that's a change from sort of the notional schedule we put in the program. But one of the things that really drew me in particular to Nolensville is the abundance of crashes that we're seeing.
Really?
You know, there's work that we can do to really improve the safety of that corridor. Again, for all users. This is not just about one way of moving. It's about all kinds of movement across our corridors.
Yeah, if you'd like to join us on air, the number is 615-760-2000. We have Sabrina Sussman, who is guiding the use of this sales tax, this additional sales tax that Davidson County voters passed nearly 1 year ago. We've got a couple of questions coming in from the YouTube video stream. If you want to join us, youtube.com/@WPLN. Infinite Valence, thanks for always watching, says the buses are fantastic and being able to pay directly with debit, credit card, or mobile devices make it so easy to jump on and off. Do wish it was simpler to get places other than into and out of downtown. Have we worked to improve the number of, that's a different question, but how much of this, when it comes to buses, the service is looking at what you can do that's not just sort of going in and out of town?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree with you more, right? I mean, it's sort of the hub and spoke model we have now, where really, in most cases, to get around town, you have to first come to WeGo Central. I think we, 1 year ago, opened up the North Nashville Transit Center. And one of the things that we've seen as a result of that is we were able to reroute some of our buses so that now you can go straight from North Nashville to East Nashville without coming in to hit WeGo Central.
Is that, and I know that you're a year into being in town, but is that Clarksville Highway right here? Is that where the north? Where is the north?
The Rip Patton, on Clarksville.
Rip Patton, on Clarksville Pike.
Yep.
So you're saying you can now, not too far from here in Metro Center where we are, get on a bus and go to East Nashville instead of going downtown,
then switch buses
to
go to East
buses
Nashville.
And go to East
Exactly.
Nashville.
So the vision of Choose How You Move includes 12 more transit centers, just like North Nashville. They'll all look and feel a little bit different because no two communities are the same. But one of the benefits of building out an expanded transit center network is that we can do just that. Right. So instead of always having to come through Central, you could change buses at another spoke.
Yep. We have another cue from the socials. Neil asks, I've been in meetings about the Chestnut Street bike lane since the end of 2021 at least. We made developers give like $1.5 million to fund it. We'll take your word for it, Neil. Will it get done before my child has aged out of her daycare? Very specific question there. But let's maybe make it broader, unless you know something about Chestnut Street bike lane.
Or Neil's daughter.
Or Neil's daughter. How old is she?
Can you ask the listener, right? Are there photos maybe?
I love that. So listen, Sabrina's bringing the questions for you, Neil. But bike lanes, we've been talking about sidewalks. Are bike lanes kind of thrown in with the bike lanes and sidewalks?
So there are portions of the county in Choose How You Move. We talk about things like complete streets or all access corridors. In some cases, those will include bike lanes or lanes that you can use for a variety of different modes. But we're always going to talk and think about it specific to the needs of that segment or that corridor, right? And so we're really looking at how people travel and making sure that folks who want a bike have a safe place to do it.
Yeah. Let's go to the phones if we can. Claire in Nashville, you're on with Sabrina Sussman, Nashville's transit czar. What you got for us? Claire, you there?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, thanks. Hey, I live in Sylvan Park, and I see so many people out pushing strollers and walking, and there's a lot of cut-through traffic now. So we really need sidewalks here, and we definitely need them up and down the Charlotte corridor. I see people walking, and you have to sort of hop over various entrances to businesses, and sometimes there's a curb, and It's just pathetic. I really, really wish we had sidewalks everywhere, but especially in this neighborhood, which is we do have a lot of walking people.
Claire, in your neighborhood, are there old sidewalks and they're just not connected to the stuff that's new, or are there sort of no sidewalks to be seen where you are exactly?
Basically no sidewalks unless it's the couple of blocks leading up to the Aiken School, the elementary school. There are a couple of little blocks that have sidewalks there.
I see. But you've got a lot of people who you're saying are essentially walking on the side of the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And people are cutting through here to avoid, to get over to Charlotte or wherever. So anyway, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Claire, I see it too. And I have sort of the same exact reaction you do. I do have some good news, right? Which is Charlotte is one of what we call our all access corridors. And what that means is we're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money really thinking about investing in that corridor. All along Charlotte, you will be getting sidewalks. The spokes out from there's an interactive map actually online where you can log in, take a look, and see very specifically what in Sylvan Park is on the map, where you're getting sidewalks, where the signals will get changed out. We wanted to do that for this exact reason, right? I mean, the idea of knowing exactly where in your community you're seeing people and whether or not we'll be able to bring a sidewalk to you, that's a really exciting part of Choose How You Move.
Yeah. Claire, thanks for your call. If you'd like to join her on air, the number is 615-760-2000. Let's briefly talk about safety, and then we'll get to more S's after our break. But, the safety component, is that primarily talking about traffic safety, or is safety also about violence and crime that might prevent people from using transit?
All of the above, right? So it includes really the build out, the starting, and then the build out of a new transit safety unit with MNPD. So they are thinking about what's it like to ride the system, what's it like at bus stations, at transit centers.
And is that new for the city to kind of more try to really coordinate, like between a police precinct and how they would interact with the transit system?
It's a whole new division within MNPD,
Is that right?
And it's brand new for us here in Nashville, Davidson County.
So it's almost like Metro Schools having some cooperation with Metro Police that WeGo will also do that.
Yeah, so WeGo and MNPD are working really closely. Captain Brian Williams is the head of our new unit and is hiring now, hoping to share some new faces in the coming weeks and months. But they're really starting to think about that exact piece. But when we say safety and Choose How You Move, we also mean the safety of people out and about, choosing how they move throughout the city, right? So it means making you in your car safer, you on a sidewalk safer, people on buses safer, really making sure that regardless of how you choose how you move, that you are in fact safer using our network.
Well, we need to take our first break. We've got a couple of calls waiting for us. Just hang on the line there and we'll come back to you. We have Sabrina Sussman for another segment, and we're taking your calls, 615-760-2000. What do you want to know about progress on the city's $3 billion transit plan over the next 15 years? There's a lot to ask. You can also chime in on the chat at youtube.com/@WPLN. We'll be back. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners. And Alliance Bernstein, built on a culture of knowledge and innovation to help advance the financial success of their clients. AllianceBernstein.com. Alliance Bernstein is not affiliated with National Public Radio. And Abentra Montessori, a science-based humanitarian inclusive school on 10 wooded acres in West Nashville, serving students ages 3 through 14. Now scheduling campus tours. Learn more at abentra.org. And Belmont Piano Concert Series presenting Dr. Rosangela Seba, professor of piano at Mississippi State University, creator of the All Steinway School, Thursday, October 30th at McAfee Concert Hall. More at belmont.edu/performances.
I'm Marco Werman. Each day on The World, we step outside our borders to hear what's going on around the planet and to hear how events in the United States are seen across Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Our producers and reporters dig deep to find stories that connect you with what's happening worldwide. That's why we call it The World. Join us.
This afternoon at 2 on 90.3 WPLN News.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. We're talking about Nashville's transit future this hour and checking in on progress of the Choose How You Move program, which is funded by that half-cent sales tax that Davidson County voters approved nearly a year ago. With us in the studio, Sabrina Sussman, Chief Program Officer and guiding dozens of projects that range from sidewalks to traffic signals. We're taking your calls on the air, and they're coming in hot. 615-760-2000 or chime in the chat at youtube.com/@WPLN. We may go straight to the phones if that's okay, Sabrina.
Absolutely.
Bassem, you're on This Is Nashville with a question maybe about light rail. Bassem, go ahead.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. So I live in South Nashville. My family, we commute to work, and going to downtown and coming back using I-24 is just a nightmare. It's great at this time for Halloween because it's the scariest part of our day to be driving on I-24. But I know that in 2018 we considered a light rail system and it was rejected. And so now I'm wondering if there's any type of solution that could ease up I-24 during those traffic times, especially during like rush hour traffic, because it's just a crazy, horrible nightmare to be driving on 24 during that time. A light rail system would be awesome to take us from South Nashville to downtown or North Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We did consider it here in Nashville a couple years ago, and it didn't go through with the referendum at that time. And so it's not a part of Choose How You Move. One of the things that I think this Mayor O'Connell did really well is sort of say, okay, Nashville, maybe we got to start with the basics, right? Let's sort of look at the sidewalks. Let's look at some traffic signals. Let's really raise the bar a little bit before we get into light rail. And so is there a future place where maybe that's a thing that we consider as part of our investments? Absolutely. It's not a part of the 15-year Choose How You Move program. There are other ways, though, that we're combating traffic. I-24, TDOT, so that's a state route, obviously an interstate. And so they're thinking about some creative ways to try and manage congestion. But really, a lot of time we spend thinking about are there other ways that folks can commute that might take down the stress level of driving through that traffic?
Well, is there anything you could point to with Choose How You Move that essentially alleviates some congestion on I-24?
Well, I mean, I think what we're thinking about is how do you support that network, right? How do you support other ways of getting in? And so whether it's coming north into the city on any of our other big pikes, whether it's increasing service on WeGo so that perhaps maybe a couple days a week someone might choose to exactly park and then ride into town. I think all of those things, right? A rising tide lifts all ships. We want to really help to attack all the congestion from all the other means.
Bassem, thanks for your call. If you want to join him on the air, the number is 615-760-2000. On the YouTube stream, youtube.com/@WPLN, we've got something from Shan Can't Spell. Love the handle. I'm a cyclist in Nashville, and when it comes to safety, our bike lanes are not safe. Paint is not protection. When will our greenways be accessible from all communities? Okay, that's a different question. I ought to read these before I start reading them on the air. But bike lanes not being safe. I know we've actually, when the mayor was on, maybe last month, there was somebody complaining actually of some of these safety barriers that were being put up around bike lanes. But is that part of this program, protection for sort of those buffers for bike lanes?
Yeah, so part of the program are both complete streets and on the all-access corridors. We're really thinking about, as I said, how do you move all the people on the corridor in the right way? Mm-hmm. And making sure that bicyclists can move through a street safely is absolutely something that's a part of Choose How You Move. We're thinking a lot about what does that look like that's right for that street, right? No two streets look the same. No two bike lanes necessarily look the same. You really have to take into consideration the context of the biking.
You're saying you see some I've seen where it's like the lane actually has a separate curb between it and the parking. And you see some where there's maybe just like some white posts, I'm not sure what they're called, but that are, I guess, to protect the bikes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things that we're thinking about is what are sort of the latest ways to make sure we're installing both technology and hard infrastructure that protects not only the bicyclists, right, but the folks who are in the cars traveling next to them.
So one of the S's on Choose How You Move is service, as in, expanding bus service. We've talked a little bit about that. Had a question about trying to not just go in and out of downtown, but across town, which some of that's being added. I think hours are also being extended. Why is that important?
Well, I mean, I think one of the great parts about Choose How You Move is over time, we will get to 24/7 service, which is not a thing we've ever done here in Nashville.
So there had
yet.
never been, you couldn't get on a bus at 2 a.m., not an option.
Well, and so while we don't do it overnight, right, we build to that over the program because you really need some of the other things. You need the transit stations, the transit centers, you need more buses, you need more drivers, right, to support that kind of change. So it's incremental, but we did our first service expansions as of July 6th. So today, there are already people who are riding the bus that couldn't ride it 6 months ago, thanks to this funding. So this funding's already unlocked places where the bus is coming more frequently because of this funding.
And one of those places, I believe, is the airport, correct? How's that going?
Well, so we're thinking about, as part of the 104, one of the things that we've said about that 104 million is how can we ensure that the rider experience getting to and from the airport is even better?
Yeah.
And so is that wayfinding, signage, is that placement, is that how frequently the buses run? All of those things are things that we're thinking through.
So let's go ahead and go to the phones. We've got a call from Jordan. You're on This Is Nashville with Sabrina Sussman.
Hey there.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment. The gentleman that called before was speaking about mass transit, and the subject seemed to change to things like sidewalks, which is strikes me as a little ridiculous. Many years ago, I recall that the idea of mass transit came up and was voted down, I guess, more recently in 2018. That's the real problem, okay? Nashville is behind the curve on mass transit, and they really need to step up to the plate and get something going, like a light rail thing. Had Nashville done that 15 years ago, we would not see the mess that we currently see all over the place with automobiles.
Jordan, we take your point, and I'm sure you're not the first one to make it to Sabrina here. It does strike me, though. I was in Chicago for a couple of days last week, and I don't know that them having light rail makes their traffic better. I'm not sure. It makes it easier to get from the airport to downtown. But
may I interject?
Sure.
This may or may not be an appropriate thing to say, but I've spent a lot of time in New York City, and I've spent some time in Chicago as well. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that light rail would make a huge difference in the amount of traffic. Like, say, for instance, on Harding Pike, on the south side. Not to mention 24, 65, all the three, major interstates that come through. Light rail is the solution to urban getting from point A to point B when the population reaches a certain.
Well, thank you for that, Jordan. So, Sabrina, help folks out, because I'm certain Jordan's not the only one thinking, hey, we're talking about transit and you're talking about sidewalks. What gives?
Yeah, I mean, first, maybe I'll just say, before moving to Nashville in June, I lived in D.C. for 20 years. So light rail is the lifeblood of that city, right? And that's how you move, and that's how I got to work and around town. So trust me when I say, boy, am I a fan, and don't I miss that, right? That's definitely a big change that's been in my just day-to-day life. But the other thing that I'll say is every single light rail trip starts with a walk. You can't get on light rail if you don't have a sidewalk there. So the way that I sort of think about Choose How You Move is it's a little bit of you got to crawl before you can run. And as I talk about it, it's a little bit back to basics. And so I couldn't agree with you more that highly dense populated urban cities need good ways to move lots of people. But mass transit does not just mean light rail, right? Mass transit also means a frequent, reliable, and safe bus network. And those are investments that we are making. And again, I think that the other piece here, right, is that if you can't actually access a mass transit network because you can't walk there or you're walking on a shoulder of grass, then that's absolutely why we got to first start with sidewalks.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Jordan. Patricia in Inglewood, let's go to you next. You're on This Is Nashville with Sabrina Sussman, our transit czar.
Thank you so much. And yes, thank you, Sabrina, and the respectful ways you're taking these calls. I appreciate that.
Oh, of course.
And I'm sorry I dropped off last time.
I think I did it, not you. Maybe it was you, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I live over in Inglewood, and recently there were some curbside walks put in at Gallatin. And I was just wondering if that indicates some movement to have sidewalks installed down Maplewood Place. There are, as the woman who indicated from Sylvan Park, there's a lot of walkers, families in the neighborhood, and young children. And we give the walkers a wide berth as we're driving down the road, and are concerned for safety. And then my second point is that we also get a lot of storm water coming into our yards because when the big storms pass through, there's a crown in the road, which I talked to the water or the street department about, and they came out. And from what I understand, crowns are built into the roads so that the integrity of the road, stays strong.
Patricia, you may have to help us out with crowns. At least Sabrina, you know what we're talking about here.
Well, Patricia, why don't you tell us what you see when you look out your window? Yeah.
Yeah. There's this crown that it's like the two sides of the asphalt kind of come up into a crown, it's more elevated than the rest of the road. And so anyway, that's what they called it when the street department man came out. And what I see is great big puddles forming on the other side of the street. All the direction of the water comes down this way. It gets to a point to where there's so much water that it starts draining into our yards.
Patricia, appreciate the call. And as you can see, it quickly, veers into probably Public Works territory or something. I don't know. But Sabrina, can you help us on the when people are seeing curbs? Is this indication? Should people get hopeful that sidewalks are coming?
I mean, the best way to answer your question, right, is to look at the real map. I will tell you there are going to be a lot of sidewalks along Gallatin and hopefully in some of your neighborhoods in East Nashville. But I mean, I think if there's sort of an engineering joke, which is, if you're on a college campus and you're looking at the quad and you want to know where to build a sidewalk, look at where the grass is dead, right?
That's why you have those diagonal sidewalks across there, because everyone cuts across.
Because they cut across. Yeah. And so there's sort of like, a little bit of a joke in transportation, which is if you want to look at where to build, see where the people are.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're seeing curb cuts go in, the fact that you're seeing people use those, that's all part of the sort of special science and math into where we're going to build things.
I see. So you want a sidewalk, you just start wearing out a track in front of your yard.
Or you can go to Hub Nashville and tell us that's where you want it. That might be the easier path, but
I like it.
Okay.
Patricia in Inglewood, thanks for the call. Let's just a couple more minutes with you, and let's talk a little more in depth about traffic signals.
Yeah.
Are new lights that are more integrated and timed already going up, or is it mostly the fiber optics that are being laid at this point?
We're definitely spending a lot of time laying fiber. That's super important. And there are parts of the city right now on Lebanon where you're seeing new lights go up.
Oh, really?
So it's sort of, there's two pieces, right? It's like the infrastructure you can see and the infrastructure you can't see. For it to all work at its best, you need both. Mm-hmm. And so in some corridors, you're going to be laying fiber and maybe not changing out that hard infrastructure quite yet. And then there are some places where maybe we're making the hard infrastructure change but haven't done the fiber.
So if someone wants to figure out what this future might be, driving down Lebanon in the next few months would be a place to do it?
Yeah, it's going to be a great time to be able to see what the impacts will be like when we're able to actually make some of these investments.
And what can it do beyond, trying to not let people sit at a red light when no traffic's coming? I imagine it's smarter than that.
Well, I will tell you, the thing you're going to see most right away is more green lights. And that's really a super powerful thing. I think it's also going to be able to allow us, we have a lot of big events here in Nashville, and so to really manage event traffic, move people out of areas where there's something big happening more quickly and more efficiently.
I see.
Right now, MNPD has to stand on the corner and physically, manually change those lights. When we can have everything connected to our traffic management center, our TMC, you can do all of that from far away.
Wow. How did you all decide where to start with traffic light upgrades?
Well, I'll tell you, there's 592 upgrades. So we're going pretty heavy on this.
So it's like all the pikes, the corridors are probably getting...
Again, the map will be online, but you're getting a heavy smattering of signals throughout the entire county. This is an area where we have not made investments in about 60 years.
60 years?
And so we have a lot of catch-up we have to do.
I think people would be surprised because I think you saw these like sensors, it seemed, that were being put in places, but that's not... the same as having this like fully integrated system.
Right. Yeah. And, putting in fiber really transforms the ability that you have to optimize to the best technology of today.
All right. Well, it's not my favorite thing to let people plug a website or something before as their final word. But, we've talked about so much that people are probably having trouble following along. Where is the place to follow along with the latest on this program?
Absolutely. Nashville.gov/transit.
It's as easy as that.
It's so easy.
Nashville.com.gov/transit. Well, Sabrina Sussman, thank you so much for spending some time with us and giving us this sort of progress report and answering questions on Choose How You Move.
Thanks for having me, Blake. I really enjoyed it.
All right, we're going to take one more break. And when we come back, we're going to leave the studio for a moment anyway to go fishing for endangered boulder darters. We're also going to talk about a biodiversity event at MTSU this week and invite you to share your events on the air at 615-760-2000. So stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and the Hal Allen Clinic, specializing in minimally invasive robotic spine surgery and laser brain tumor surgery. For 40 years, the neurosurgeons of the Hal Allen Clinic have been national leaders in brain and spine surgery. And Amazon, proud sponsor of WPLN's daily show, This Is Nashville, engaging our differences so we can discover our unity. More on Amazon's community work at aboutamazon.com.
And Harpeth Hall, a Nashville independent school for girls in 5th through 12th grades with admission preview day on November 2nd. Details available at harpethhall.org/admission.
Fall is here, and that means a few things. Cooler weather on the horizon, cinnamon brooms appearing in the grocery stores, and the Fall Fund Drive on WPLN. Make your gift at WPLN.org.
Nashville's music industry gets global attention. I'm senior music writer Julie Height, here to explain how it all works and spotlight the voices and scenes the world doesn't yet know about.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. The Harms Mill Dam on the Elk River is about to be removed as part of an effort to restore the flow of this tributary that feeds the Tennessee River. It's an act of conservation itself, but it also threatens some endangered species like the boulder darters that live mostly under rocks beneath the dam in Lincoln County. In preparation, multiple agencies are working to temporarily relocate these small green-gray fish, about 3 inches. This is Nashville's managing editor, Tasha A.F. Limley, put on some muck boots and headed to the dam with Andrew Zimmerman, a biologist with the nonprofit Conservation Fisheries. Let's listen.
This is Harms Mill Dam. It's being removed to create connectivity again between what's upstream and what's downstream. It's going to remove the impounded water that's built up behind it and flush out sediment, which should open up more available habitat for boulders to congregate upstream or to fill in habitat spaces upstream. Where you're seeing the water kind of ripple up, there's boulders, and so just like the boulder darter's name, like they like to live under boulders, so we're flipping those and letting them wash into our nets. So
it's a big day for them. How do they feel about the move?
I think that they're not too happy with it right now, but they'll be very happy that they weren't here when this dam is removed. So we're using backpack electrofishers, which we've tuned to shock the water just enough where it stuns the fish. and then they're immobilized and they float downstream and into our seine net, which is basically like 2 broom poles with a net stretched out between them that's sunk down at the bottom by lead lines and held up at the surface by float lines at the top. You'll start hearing a buzzing, and that buzzing is notifying when the backpack electrofishers are actually putting electricity in the water.
Like a high-pitched sound?
Yeah, that. Don't put that sound bit in. Kicking the substrate from side to side with their boots to try and displace all the rocks and stuff that the fish might be under. And then the current, once they're shocked, will take them into the net. And they'll pick this net up here soon, and we'll see if we got anything. They'll eventually be put into bags with sealed up with oxygen and transported back to conservation fisheries later today.
Jason Miller. I'm Assistant Chief of Biodiversity at Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. This is a part of a longer-term project, the removal of Harms Mill Dam from the Elk River. But one of the things that has to happen before you bring in heavy equipment and remove something like a dam from a river, you got to remove all the rare species out of the footprint of the project. And so one of the rarest ones that there are here, and one of the reasons this dam is being removed, is because of the boulder darter. That's really the impetus for a lot of this work. The water upstream of this has been embayed for over 100 years, and so the habitat changes from a flowing riverine environment to an embayment, a slack water, almost like a lake or a pond. And so the sorts of fish that would have naturally thrived there, it's just not good habitat for them once you construct a dam on the river. So the object here is to remove that impediment to flow so that the habitat above the dam becomes hospitable to those species again.
Woo! Woo, woo, woo. Y'all in the wrong spot.
You got one?
Yeah, we just got one.
Yay! So a little bit lower than you were hoping, but how are you feeling?
I feel good.
Okay, good.
We got some.
Like 20?
More than we bid.
Yeah.
You got more?
We had a bidding competition.
You had a bid? Okay.
Price is Right rules.
What was your bid?
14.
Okay.
I was 18.
Okay.
Derek was 1.
I did 1. Because his Price is Right rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we got higher than all of them, right?
Because are you at 21, 22?
We're at 21 today,
21.
I believe. Yeah. So I
Awesome.
win.
You won. What'd you get?
Bunch of boulder darters.
Okay.
Those were the voices of conservationist Jason Miller and Andrew Zimmerman relocating the endangered fish, the boulder darter. WPLN's Tasha F. Limley reported this story from the Elk River in Lincoln County, where multiple agencies are working together to remove the Harms Mill Dam to connect more than 1,000 miles of waterway. Tasha's reporting is timely because the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, which is involved, will host the first ever Tennessee Biodiversity Summit tomorrow from 8 to 4 at Middle Tennessee State University. And that turns us now to we like to call it the shared calendar. We've got a lot of folks waiting on the line to share their event. So I've got a timer here that gives everyone about 1 minute to sort of make their pitch for their event. And let's start with Ashley from TWRA, who is the coordinator of this first ever Biodiversity Summit. What's going to go on?
Hi. So this is such an amazing opportunity to share that we have an event who is really out to bring so many like-minded individuals together and to really celebrate whether you're an angler, whether you're a professional, whether you're that hunter, that hiker, that canoeer, and just anybody interested in wildlife, that this is going to be the place for you. And
I saw
to that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I saw there was an update to the State Wildlife Action Plan that looks like it was last updated in 2015. Are there like big changes or developments that people would learn about?
Absolutely. So that is another thing that we are so excited to celebrate and really to highlight for all the participants here. So that is a document that's updated every 10 years. And that's really going to help us in those goals of preserving, conserving, managing, and protecting the fish and wildlife of our state. So certainly a big goal there in getting those revisions accomplished.
Great. Well, this is 8 to 4 tomorrow, Middle Tennessee State University. Do people need to RSVP?
Absolutely not. They can show up. They
Just
can
show
register
up.
at the event if they haven't already done that.
All right.
We'll have staff there to help them and direct them. So anybody, absolutely, that's going to be their place.
All right, Ashley, thanks a lot, and keeping it to a minute. Love that. All right, we're going to go to Mark from the William Edmondson home site. What's going on this week?
Hey, well, this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., we are inviting all of Nashville to Edge Hill to experience an art and craft fair with live music and a large kids zone to engage children in activities and art. It's all free, and it is at the historic site in Edge Hill that William Edmondson, our most famous export as a trailblazing artist, where he lived and worked. For those of you who don't know where that property is, it's behind the Edge Hill Branch Library at 14th and D. Ford Bailey Avenue. And we have, as of current count, we have 35 vending artists. We have 11 performing artists. We have a number of additional what we call emerging artists sharing a large tent in a communal space. And we have live music presentations and performances all day long, all sponsored by our preservation nonprofit.
All right, and date and time for this?
The date is this Saturday, October 25th. It kicks off at 10 a.m. with a proclamation from Terry Vo, our district council member in Edge Hill, and runs until 4.
Fantastic, Mark. Appreciate that. William Edmondson home site in Edge Hill. All right, let's go next to Janet from the Urban League.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Great. So I'm with the Urban League of Middle Tennessee, and this Thursday, October the 23rd, we are celebrating our 2025 annual meeting. We will do a State of the Urban League address from our president, Clifton Harris. It is at Nissan Stadium, Wesley Mortgage Club, which is on the riverside, the city side of the Titan Stadium, and parking is free. It is a ticketed event, so if anyone is interested in coming, they can actually just call me here in the office. It's 615-254-0525, and just
All right.
ask for Janet at the Urban League.
Janet at the Urban League, their big meeting Thursday, October 23rd. Thanks a lot for that, Janet. 11:30.
Thank you.
All right, Kim Hinton waiting on the line about an architecture talk coming up. You're on This Is Nashville.
Hello, Blake.
Hey, Kim.
I'm honored to be a member of the Nashville Historical Foundation, and we are sponsoring a 3-part lecture series on mid-century architecture in Nashville and Middle Tennessee. It's going to be the next 3 Thursdays at the Fort Negley Visitor Center. Each lecture will start at 4:30 p.m.
All right, so at Fort Negley, the next 3 Thursdays at 4:30. When's your talk, and what are you talking about?
Well, there are 3 talks. One on October the 23rd is an introduction to mid-century architecture by the distinguished realtor, David Payne. I'll be talking on October the 30th about Nashville's prominent architects, mid-century architects, and their most significant achievements. And then on November the 6th, we have Nashville treasure Sandra Shelton, who will show images from her an unbelievable, extraordinary photographic collection of mid-century commercial, institutional, and residential structures. And we ask people to register through the Nashville Historical Foundation under subheading articles. You scroll down and to the lecture series, and please register.
Lovely. Architect Kim Hinton, thanks for joining us. Thursdays at Fort Negley at 4:30 for the next 3 weeks. All right, next up, Sarah from Metro Archives. You're on This Is Nashville.
Hi, thank you for having us. The program that we are promoting right now is this new initiative to invite all Nashvillians to be a part of Nashville's story. The project is called the Nashville Neighborhood History and Culture Home Movie Project. And everybody that is interested in applying, if you've got those home movies at home that are unfortunately deteriorating or you don't have the means to view them, we're inviting you to bring them to us. Apply first, and then we will have them digitized for you for free, give you a free digital copy, and then be included in our audiovisual collection.
And so how do people submit their home movies to be put in the archives? Is there a time and date for this?
Yeah, so first we're asking for people to apply so you'll go to our website, fill out our application form. Tell us all about the home movies that you have. Specifically, we're looking for stuff that was shot in Nashville, but outside of that, we're looking for all kinds of events. And then once you've been contacted about your application, we'll have an official drop-in event this Saturday at the Bordeaux Library.
This Saturday?
Yep.
Okay, so don't wait on this if you're going to apply. I think this is a very cool project, and I hope we do something about it in the future. But Sarah Arntz from Metro Nashville Archives, collecting home video footage from around Davidson County. Thank you for that. Next up, Brian Field. What you got for us? You're on This Is Nashville.
Good afternoon, Blake. I'd like to highlight this Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the Schermerhorn Symphony Center is an outstanding program that includes a world premiere. The title of the program is Reflections and Hope. They both start Friday and Saturday evening at 7:30 p.m. The tickets are available at nashvillesymphony.org. And I'm the composer of the world premiere, so I'm happy to announce that. It's a real honor not only to be having the premiere with the Nashville Symphony and Maestro Christian Reich, but the incomparable multi-Grammy-winning mezzo-soprano Janae Bridges will be performing my work, Everything Hurts, which is based upon youth poet laureate Amanda Gorman's powerful poem, Hymn for the Hurting. And a real double honor for me, not only for the performance in Nashville, but also this is the first time that Gorman's words have been approved to be set to original music. It's a fantastic program and one that really speaks to a topic that's unfortunately very germane around the entire country, which is school shootings. The poem was originally penned in 2022 on the wake of the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde, Texas, where 21 people were killed.
Brian,
and I was deeply affected. Yes.
Oh, excuse me. I'm going to cut you off just because we got two more to fit in, but it sounds powerful.
Okay.
Everything Hurts at the Schermerhorn, October 24th and 25th. We're talking to the composer right here, Brian Field. Thank you so much for plugging that event. Let's go next to Alex in Columbia. You're on This Is Nashville.
Hey, Blake, thanks for having me on. My name is Alex. I'm the president of Columbia Pride. We're a local nonprofit organization creating a space for everyone in our community to come out and celebrate who they are. We're gearing up for our 4th annual Pride event, which is this Saturday, October 25th, from 1 to 6 p.m. at the Riverwalk Park in Columbia, Tennessee. We'll have over 50 vendor booths selling a wide variety of items, multiple food trucks, a kids zone, and a beer garden. We'll have the game play-in. We're going to have drag performances throughout the afternoon by 10 different performers. We've got something for everyone in the family to do this Saturday, so we invite everyone to come out and celebrate with us. Admission is free, and we'll be at the Riverwalk Park in Columbia from 1 to 6 this Saturday.
Alex, for Columbia Pride, thanks so much for calling it in. We're going to move on to Rosemary, maybe an event with Day of the Dead. You're on This Is Nashville.
Hi, thanks for having me. So I'm in Springfield, Tennessee, and on November 1st in Springfield, we are going to have our 2nd annual Middle Tennessee Dia de los Muertos celebration, or Day of the Dead. This is a new-ish festival. Last year was our first year. And I'm a proud Springfield native and love to let people know that they may be surprised to find out that Springfield is one of the most diverse communities in the state right now, due in large part to our Latino population. The festival starts at 4 o'clock with a parade. There will be mariachi, vendors, ballet folklorico, dance performances, a ticketed chocolate tasting. You can find everything out that you need to know at our Facebook, which would be facebook.com/mid-TN Day of the Dead.
Rosemary, love it, and that's where we're going to have to leave it. We know it was a fast list. Thank you all for calling in. Good gracious, we feel amazing. If you missed some of those details, though, you probably did. They're all going to be listed on our website, thisisnashville.org. Thank you for tuning in this hour and contributing to the conversation. This is Nashville, a production of Nashville Public Radio. Yesterday, we had on Charles Wig Walker, a legendary R&B and soul singer, still making music and performing here in Nashville at 85 years old. Listen to his stories about working with James Brown. You can catch up in the podcast feed or thisisnashville.org. Today's episode was produced by Mary Mancini, directed by Tasha A.F. Limley. Our board operator is Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind that theme music are LaRange and Amir Blade. The conversation does not have to end. Email us. This is Nashville at WPLN.org. You can also find us on the socials. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.
I'm Sabrina Tavernisi, host of The Daily. With the extraordinary reach of New York Times journalism, we are here bringing you the sound and the story. Listen every weekday as New York Times reporters unpack more of what you want to know about our world as it happens. That's The Daily from The New York Times.
Join us for The